Pool A action, day 2, New Zealand versus Trinidad and Tobago. New Zealand choosing for a brown Mez circle straight away. Oh, unfortunate for Cooper. Couldn't make the most of that early turnover.
Contact centre.
Good start for Jodie Brown.
Well, Francois read it beautifully, a little late on the attack. Well worth having a go at those early, though. Just put some doubt in the minds of the attacking team. Wallace prepared to attack the post early. A long shot to start with, but Kupua is up for the rebound.
Bailey Mez off to a better start. 77% for her yesterday, 24 from 31. That needs to go higher.
Goal attack, wing attack.
Guerrero very nearly controlled it. She matches Francois for height, so the Silver Ferns will have to be conscious of that in the work around the circle. And Guerrero did a really good job against Australia yesterday, just disrupting the play.
Guerrero's that player who I love. She's the one, she's playing at centre at the moment, but the only position she doesn't play are in the shooting circle. All other 5 are on her list.
Done construction wing. There's contact, advantage offside, centre. Construction goal defence.
Trinidad and Tobago on the board. Youngster Samantha Wallace, 20 years of age, 21.
Stands at 193 centimetres, so for Australian fans, she's the same height as Caitlin Bassett. Has a little bit more movement to her game than Bassett. You'll see her come out of the circle a bit.
And that's good hustle from Mez. I think she might have just gone offside as she was going about her work. De Brain. She was in good form in the second half of New Zealand's game yesterday. 4 intercepts. On that occasion partnered with Phoenix Karaka.
Obstruction wing attack.
Brown really, yep. Francois, she's fast, but she's not that fast. And there's another player who's fast, Kayla Cullen.
Yeah, beautiful hands, quite tall for a wing defender, and matches that with a lovely turn of speed, so she was able to get her hands to it and chase it down, then turn around and bring the ball through court. In Cullen and De Brain, the Silver Ferns have 2 really good ball carriers. When you've got a goal defence and a wing defence who can bring the ball down court, it does take some pressure off your shooting line. They can sit back closer to the post and be prepared to do a lot more of that.
Cooper going for the baseline. Kulpua marking her like a shadow.
Holding in defence. Right on the circle. Right on the circle. Obstruction. back, goal shooter.
Clever work, Cooper. She protected the shot, which then protected the rebounding space as well for Wallace. So good support play. Doesn't come up on any stats, but vital when you're playing against the world number 2. Just protect the ring.
Manila Jack through with the tip. Grace Rasmussen had a full game yesterday against Barbados, only I think she and Laura Langman.
Well, she was one of the more perplexing omissions for New Zealand last year for the Commonwealth Games at Glasgow. She's had a couple of really good years domestically, playing for the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic. So I'm rapt to see her in this side for this World Cup. She's such a playmaker in that wing attack position.
Oh, nice ball.
Speaking of playmaker, on to John Davis. And she did that a bit last night against Australia. What she does, and I guess if you've played 5 World Cups, you can do this. She's so patient. She's prepared to wait the full 3 seconds for something to open up, and that makes her hard to play against. She really weighs up her options before she releases the ball.
And that was a nice release from Bailey Mears. 5 from 5. So critical to New Zealand's chances here in Sydney. Again, Kayla Cullen getting herself in the way of Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, beautifully read, Kaupua.
We were talking last night in the game against Barbados about Casey Kaupua and how she needs these games to get her timing back. That little intercept there doesn't look like much, but it does her the world of good in terms of her confidence.
Looking at her stats from yesterday's game, yeah, she had a blank sheet when it came to intercepts, which is unlike her.
And you know it, you can feel it when your timing isn't quite there, especially sitting back at goalkeeper. You don't get a lot of opportunities in games like this. The ball isn't down your end very much. Wing defence and the goal defence tend to steal the intercepts from you. So good opening for Kaupua just to be able to get that clean intercept.
Obstruction goal defence. Beside the goal defence. Beside. Obstruction kicker.
Cooper again, clever play, just protected the rebound space. It's twice in a row she's done it to good effect.
So halfway mark first quarter, 9-5 New Zealand over Trinidad and Tobago.
Contact wing defence.
Jack, strong challenge.
Contact goalkeeper. Beside the keeper. That's it.
Kimber Duncan, you can see the lean into Bailey Mears. Well, Samantha Wallace won't probably get an easier opportunity than that.
That is great wing. Throw in.
Untidy from New Zealand.
Yeah, just a couple of little handling errors early in this first quarter, and they're the things that New Zealand will be trying to get out of their game well and truly before they hit finals play. You want to be moving the ball beautifully from one end to the other.
Lovely interchange between Cooper and Guerrero. They've had a few years to fine-tune their playing together.
Contact wing.
Here's good passage of play for Trinidad and Tobago.
Damage offside, shooter.
A lovely little double, triple play there. John Davis using all that experience and the speed at her disposal.
Oh, what a tip. Samantha Wallace. Casey Kaupua would have been sure she had that, but didn't bargain on the skill of Wallace.
Well, this is a really great opening from Trinidad and Tobago. We saw last night in that first quarter against Australia, they really did have their heads spinning. Once they got used to the speed and intensity of the game, they really stuck with the diamonds, and I reckon they've just picked up from where they left off in that regard. They know now what the intensity is going to be like, and they're going to run with New Zealand for a little bit here.
Anila Jack. Just 3 goals in it, 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Breaking against Duncan. A little bit eager to get over the line. Oh, what a read!
Kiel Connolly.
2-on-1. You don't see much better than that defensively. I don't care what country you're watching play. That was good.
And look what it injects into the side.
Yes.
A fly down court.
Contact.
Kopua hits the deck.
That's a really great passage of play. And Kapua's called time. But look at that. That is just brilliant read. Great athleticism. That's worth the price of admission today.
And you just wonder if the time is about that little fall or the play that's gone on before. 2 goals in it, 11-9, 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jen. Kapua, of course, the captain of this team. You wonder if she's looked up and thought, 2 goals in at 5 minutes to go. We need to regroup. Just make sure our minds are in this. See Vicky Wilson there and Waitamanu, 2 coaches you don't want to get on the wrong side of. You'd certainly find out about it.
I talk about wrong sides. Obviously, when they were back in Sydney in, 1991, they were on opposing sides. One, the captain of New Zealand. The other, well, key strike weapon for Australia. The crowd's in, they're here party.
Rolling around here. So when one goes, expect the next one to come and get your communication going.
Well, a message very clear there from Waitamanu to her circle defenders, probably 2 of her most experienced players. Get your communication going. They're just rolling around you.
And she makes a really good point that Cooper in particular is just setting up off Wallace and rolling around and finding the space, and you do need to talk to each other when that happens. Basically, Kapua looked like she was about to cry, and Liana de Brain, she had plenty to say as well, didn't she?
Yeah, I don't know who'd win that, de Brain versus Timona. Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
I'd pay money to see it, though.
Whole time, blood centre.
Now,
So blood for Guerrero.
4.5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's close. New Zealand 11, Trinidad and Tobago 9.
That's you.
Miscommunication there and really well read from Kapua. And here's this fast transition from the Silver Ferns.
And that's what happens when Waitamanu has a few words to you. Good save, Mez. I don't think Jodie Brown was quite in court. That's right.
That was good scrambling defence then from Trinidad and Tobago. They were on the back foot because of the fast transition from the Ferns, and they managed to scramble it, but they've lost possession. Opportunity now for New Zealand to make up for it.
New Zealand. Advantage break, goal attack. Advantage obstruction wing. Advantage offside wing defence.
Short from Mez.
A lack of confidence in that shot, wasn't there? Not much on the follow through, and that's why it fell short.
And that's what creeps into her game every now and then.
Contact centre.
And really for me, that's where the question marks are around this Silver Fern side, whether they have a goal shooter who can shoot out big games. Short pass, a little too cheeky there from Cooper.
And I I think Francois deemed out of court.
Goal third. Guys, obstruction, wing.
Big lovely shot from Wallace.
Just got the sense just after that timeout that New Zealand had taken control of the game, but Trinidad and Tobago have fought back. If they shoot this goal, they're way back in it. Here they are.
Back to a margin of 2, 13-11.
Barney's breaking wing defence. Barney's offside, centre.
Was so offside. Didn't matter. There's that short shot again from Mez.
And she's such a rebounder, it's fine if she can get the rebound, but if, against some teams where she's simply not going to be allowed to.
Barney's obstruction, wing.
Oh, nice play. Swinging it from one side to the other. How high was that shot?
And it was over some pretty good defensive pressure from Kapua. Kapua's jump on the shot was perfect, but it made no difference. Just didn't even see her.
Wing defence, contact.
So 8 from 11 for
Contact
Wallace.
goal defence.
9 from 11 from Mez down the other end of the court.
Barney's moving off, goal defence. Trinidad.
Jodie Brown on 100%. Six from 6. Ooh.
Guerrero shows off her hurdling ability. Always a danger when that has to happen. There's all sorts of things behind those advertising hoardings.
Goal attack. Contact goal defence. Possession goal
Oh,
attack.
how fast on the ball was that? Connolly. Oh, but they've all got to come back. It was a contact called. Brown makes a meal of it.
New Zealand.
Good commitment then from Connolly.
Francois probably won't be terribly keen on getting that passed away, because that is the whistle for the end of the first quarter. Certainly far from vintage from New Zealand, but good from Trinidad and Tobago. New Zealand lead 16-12. Well, Trinidad and Tobago go to the bench. Connolly, she's certainly creating a few problems down in that New Zealand shooting circle.
Yeah, she's got a clean intercept to her name, just the one penalty. So she's in there, she's being a pest, but she's not drawing whistle, and that's a really important thing for a goalkeeper to do. Kemba Duncan has given away 7 penalties, and so she probably needs to clean up her act a little bit, because she's starting to give Jodie Brown free entry into the circle and a free shot at goal. That's really the only criticism you can make of that Trinidad and Tobago defensive line. And if we take a look at these numbers, you can just see New Zealand have slightly ahead in terms of volume and percentage, and that's probably been the difference, sitting at 80%, Trinidad and Tobago at 71%. Both teams doing well in terms of winning the ball back for intercepts and penalties. Trinidad and Tobago, just a little bit of work there that needs to be done, and that's really Kemba Duncan that needs to be able to do that.
So looking back over the first quarter, well, it all started reasonably well for New Zealand. Confident start from the shooters. Mez particularly needs that good start, doesn't she, to lift her confidence?
She does. She's a confidence player, and she went to the post early and did a really good job. And she did that last night against Barbados, was hitting shots early, which is a great sign for her. But in both last night's game and tonight's game, she just started to go off the boil. And worryingly for fans of the Silver Ferns, she went off the boil as Trinidad and Tobago started to come back. So you have to have question marks about how she's going to perform under pressure when she really needs to sink those shots. As you say, Jen, she cannot rely on her rebounding ability against nations with taller defenders. That really will come home to bite her. Speaking of height, Samantha Wallace doing a really good job in that front line. She's been an incredibly good target, and Cooper was a little bit quiet last night against Australia, but today she's come out and she's really directing play. That intercept there for me from Kennelly was just one of the most outstanding things you'll see in a netball court. Just read it beautifully in a 2-on-1 situation, and she committed to the shot.
Sorry, here, the next one's quite shallow.
Let's go, up.
Hey, don't go swinging off here. Look for the one coming to the ball, please, from behind.
So Waitemonu giving her players marching orders before they return to the court for this second quarter. They lead Trinidad and Tobago 16-12. But they know that they are in a match this side here. Trinidad and Tobago, they often play with so much spirit, and they're doing so today. Second quarter underway, New Zealand leading Trinidad and Tobago 16-12.
Beautiful play then. Brown just a 1-2 between her and Francois along the baseline. She's starting to find some nice space, Jodie Brown. Jo Cooper knew exactly what she'd done, breaking on the centre pass.
There's good pressure from De Bruyne on the line, helping her over. Only verbally.
Contact centre. Contact wing, advantage offside.
So Brown and Mears, just one of a number of shooting combinations New Zealand are trying out. Well, Francois had an eye on it, but it was perfectly placed, that pass. Samantha Wallace sent back. Strong rebound from the youngster.
Contact centre.
That's nice play, New Zealand. Now pressure, forced an error.
Contact.
So a little 2-on-1 play here. And a nice little setup. Brown taking the back space and Mez the front. The last thing you want to do when you're in a 2-on-1 situation as a shooting pair is start parallel, so the pass is obvious one way or the other, and you start one in front of the other, and the defender has to make a choice, and that's what opened up the space in.
And that was a nice ball from Shannon Francois.
Goalkeeper.
A lot of discussion about the centre position in the New Zealand team. Will it be Francois? Will it be Langman?
Well, it was interesting watching the game last night against Barbados, wasn't it? Because Laura Langman started off in wing defence, and she was certainly, I guess, serviceable, did a reasonable job. But the moment she got into centre, she really opened up. And defensively, she came into the game more, which was interesting because she wasn't playing as defensive a position. But you could just see how much work she did down court. Got the speed on, put the afterburners on, and was so impressive for New Zealand in that transition from one end of the court to the other. With Shannon Francois, you don't get that real sprint from one end to the other that you get with Langman, but I find she's just a little bit more controlled and she's prepared to change the pace a little bit more.
Fabulous. Anella Jack, outside arm, got the tip. And the acceleration that Trinidad and Tobago put on when they get a turnover like that. Awesome.
Beautiful play. Cooper out, Wallace back, and it was smart from Trinidad and Tobago. They had the quick transition, but they held it up when things went on, didn't force it, set the play up. Really nice play.
Advantage contact keeper.
Deserved to be backed up with another one.
That was well read as well. Kiel Connolly making a presence felt, goalkeeper for Trinidad and Tobago.
Advantage contact, centre. Advantage obstruction, wing.
Double international Connolly, also plays basketball.
It's a smart move to have her back at goalkeeper. Yesterday they had Daystar Swift on at goalkeeper, not quite as mobile but much taller, and they had her on against the height of the Australian goal shooters. Now they've identified that the Silver Ferns have a far more mobile circle and they've matched it defensively, and it's paid dividends for them.
How did that pass reach Rasmussen?
Well, that's what Jodie Brown's good at, isn't she? She'll thread that needle, and it really opens up that middle corridor for the Ferns when she does things like that in the build-up.
Obstruction centre. Moving off centre. Reset, step back.
Cullen rather hoping that John Davis had stepped into her.
It was Francois that was caught for moving off the mark, and John Davis using all the experience at her disposal.
Oh, Jo-Lisa Cooper,
Obstruction.
captain of this Trinidad and Tobago side now. Yeah, good bend of the knees from Mez. All Brain has to do is bend down and pick it up.
Advantage obstruction, wing.
That's nice from Mez, and it brings up a 10-goal buffer for New Zealand. I've got to say, though, they're finding it hard to shape this Trinidad and Tobago side.
Much better second quarter, though. 10-4 to the Silver Ferns. And it's just come on the back of a more confident shooting performance from Bailey Mez. This is for a 5th shot of the quarter.
And the White Hats like it. Allphones Arena really starting to fill up now. Day 2.
Whole time, wing defence.
Now we've got a stoppage here. I think it's Kemba Duncan, just top left of your screen.
That's Anella Jack, wing defence for the Trinidad team. Full game yesterday against Australia.
And don't forget, during this World Cup, ANZ Netball Nation's inviting you to show your support for your nation, and it's all about getting your game face on. So you upload a photo of yourself in your nation's colours, and you include the hashtag NWC Nation. So 10 daily prizes to be won. They include, they're not bad, 2 tickets to the Netball, the World Cup gold medal match. That's on day 10, and that includes flights and accommodation. So off you go, netballnation.com/NWC for all the details. What a great competition. So Pepe Davis having his, Gomez I should say, having a few words to the side as Onella Jack it is. She's been involved in a lot of the disruption.
She has. She's been really important for Trinidad in their centre passes. She's got 7 centre pass receives. She's the player who takes the ball the most off the start of play, so she drives the ball down a lot, really responsible for springing her team into attack. Got an intercept and 2 deflections, so I want to see her stay on the court. She's an integral part of both their attack and defence.
8 minutes remaining in the second quarter, 27-16 New Zealand lead.
Just a beautiful little cut in front there from Cooper. And that's the sort of play you want to have when you've got a tall shooter who's been a target. When she backs back, you want to make sure that you've got a goal attack driving across in front of her. It's something that the Diamonds are really conscious of getting their goal attacks doing, and Joe Cooper's doing it beautifully at the moment.
That is offside, centre. Obstruction. That is goal.
John Davis telling her players where she would have preferred that ball to have been.
Well, you've got to listen to her, playing in her 150th test tonight. In her 5th World Cup, an impressive competitor for Trinidad and Tobago, most experienced player for them on court.
She's another double international in the side, another basketballer.
Jodie Brown's getting a really easy passage over the transverse line on the centre pass, and because she's able to get that first ball uncontested, really the second phase play for New Zealand is coming quite easily because she's...
Obstruction, goal defence.
Oh.
Yes, Kemba Duncan looks bemused by everything,
Obstruction.
but I think it is against her.
Yep.
Obstruction, good goal.
She goes in for another go.
So Trinidad want to stop this attacking flow of New Zealand. They've really got to do a lot more defensively on the line off the centre pass because Jodie Brown's having a field day.
Obstruction and contact, wing.
11 centre pass receives. New Zealand have been forced to go backwards just the 4 times off the centre pass, so that's an area that they could address. And New Zealand will go backwards again here. Brown and Rasmussen way off the line.
Oh, lovely interchange between Brown and Mez.
Barnage obstruction and contact, wing. Barnage obstruction, wing defence.
We talked yesterday, didn't we, about the difference in styles between Jodie Brown and Maria Tutayep. Brown really the playmaker, Tutayep doing her own thing. Oh, Jack again!
That's why she's so important. It's why they need her on the court. That was a screaming intercept. Got to finish it.
That's it. Contact goalkeeper.
Oh, and Ella Jack, this is a second World Cup. Take a look at that. She was in Singapore 4 years ago as a 19-year-old.
That's contact, wing. Contact.
Great take there from Bailey Mez. You really get a sense of her athleticism when she takes balls like that. She's got the ability to protect herself, protect the space, yet still get up and get 2 hands on the ball.
Contact goal defence.
Switch between De Bruyne and Corpwood. De Bruyne at the back.
Where you are. New Zealand.
Too much for Rasmussen to control.
Advantage offside, centre. Advantage obstruction, wing.
Oh, lovely play. Trinidad and Tobago.
Obstruction. Advantage. Trinidad.
To John Davis, great control. That ball could easily have gone out the back. Oh, and what a shot. Samantha Wallace.
So generally the stronger team tends to run out the last few minutes of the quarter, but Trinidad and Tobago have made a little inroad into this margin in the last couple of minutes, and they're up and about. You can just see it in their body language.
Trinidad and Tobago get their margin back down to 10. 2 minutes left in the second quarter. You're quite right, Liz. New Zealand started to look really good in the middle of this quarter, but have gone a bit flat.
Dana's holding, goal attack.
Ooh. Oh, Guerrero. Well, cool as you like, the ball's gone, and the play carries on.
She's in some pain, and I'd like to see the umpire call time here.
So now surely play will stop, and it does. And Candice Guerrero, he's making a good dash across the court.
Well, she was awkward on the land.
Let's take a look at just what happens.
Hopefully ankle.
Cullen simply picked up the ball and carried on. Yeah, she's calling for time on the floor.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, you see Kayla Cullen pick up the ball and get on with it, and, you know, some people would say, why didn't she stop and, you know, check to see if her opposition was all right? But when you come to something like this, a World Cup, with the mindset that you're going to be incredibly skillful and efficient and ruthless, and you want to win, your mindset is you're going to pick up the ball and get on with it until the umpire calls time. So Kayla Cullen did her job then.
Oh, she's up. She's done a few squats and a jump.
Player.
She may be all right.
She's another player who's incredibly important to this Trinidad team. Super fit.
Although, no, perhaps she is heading off, and I think she might be.
I expect for John Davis to go into that centre position. She switched into there last night in the second half against the Diamonds.
Quickly.
Did a pretty good job.
Off you go. Off. That's it. You're waiting there. No, you're staying there. No.
So there'll be a very fast rearrangement of bibs.
Wait.
I think that's Amanda Cameron who...
Well, this is interesting. Trinidad and Tobago didn't make the changes in the required time. She didn't have her bib on, and the 2 minutes was up. So they're down a player for the last minute, or until the next centre pass at least.
Oh, nice into play. So now, yes, on comes the new player. Oh, fabulous, Samantha Wallace. So Amanda Cameron on in the wing attack position.
That's contact centre.
30 seconds remaining in this first half. And you'd have to think Trinidad and Tobago will be relatively pleased with this half.
I think they'd be pleased, Jen, with the first quarter. I think they'd be disappointed with the fact that defensively they've fallen away. New Zealand have scored 5 more goals in this quarter than they did in the first. In terms of attack, they're sitting pretty and they're going to exceed. It looks like their score from the first quarter, they do. So 13 for this quarter compared to 12 in the first.
So that is the half-time whistle here at Allphones Arena. Pool A clash between New Zealand and Trinidad and Tobago at the half-time break. It is New Zealand leading Trinidad and Tobago 37-25.
Absolute kindness happening. The Netball World Cup is pleased to be upgrading some lucky fans down to a corporate box for the day. It's our random act of kindness. A big congratulations to our first winners and a wonderful visit there from our very own Aussie legend, Kat Cox. Hope you enjoy your brand new seats for this game.
Telstra, proud partner of the Netball World Cup Sydney 2015.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, so great to see all the netball fans up there in the grandstands are having a great time. We love the outfits, we love the team colours, we love the flags, the banners, and we've got our very own Aussie legend, Kat Cox. You're up there in the grandstand with some very good-looking people. Who are you with up there?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say good-looking. They're Kiwis. I'm up here with a travel group from William Travel, and I found Adele. I believe this is the second time I've run into her today. But she has got some brilliant dance moves, so we're about to see it on dance cam. We go backup dancers. Stand up, New Zealand. Well done, Adele. For you, we have a $50 voucher over at FanFest and merchandise, which you look like you could do with. Congratulations.
Well done to our winners there. Clark, it's great to see you've got your own group of backup.
Half-time at Allphones Arena, 37-25, New Zealand in front.
They are, and you can just see their accuracy is creeping up as the game goes along. They've had a lot more attempts at goal than Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, though, doing a pretty good job of making sure that when they do get the opportunity to score, they take it 80% of the time. The turnovers are what's killing Trinidad and Tobago, though. New Zealand have cleaned that up from last night. They were a bit profligate with the ball, just 13 in the first half. Super impressive in terms of just maintaining possession and doing their best thing with it. Just got the feeling then, Jen, that Jodie Brown was able to open up the game a whole lot more. I thought she was pretty well held last night against Barbados and struggled to find space, whereas today she's just getting able to make so much space available to her, and she's able to do it off the centre pass more often than not. Not a lot of pressure there. Grace Rasmussen sitting at wing attack is really helpful as well in terms of Jodie Brown. And between those two really good ball carriers, there's been some really nice passages of play down into Bailey Mez in that goal shooting position. For Trinidad and Tobago, the Calypso girls have done a really good job of being able to make the most of their opportunities when they've had them, but they just haven't been able to bring the ball through the mid-court as effectively as they did in that first quarter. The second quarter, they struggled a little bit, and they just struggled with the speed of the New Zealand transition through the mid-court as well. So, look, great first quarter from Trinidad, but the Silver Ferns put the afterburners on in that second quarter, and they pumped it out by an extra 9 goals in that second stanza.
So the situation is 37-24, half-time with New Zealand patchy, Trinidad and Tobago gutsy.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it, and that's how Trinidad and Tobago have really approached their play yesterday and today. They know they're playing against the two best teams in the world, but that hasn't stopped them taking a step backwards.
So plenty of support here for New Zealand, as you can imagine. Lots of netball to watch here, and it's all good stuff at All Phones Arena. A big crowd in at Sydney Olympic Park. It is half-time between New Zealand and Trinidad and Tobago. The Silver Ferns leading 37-25. There they are, going through. They don't rest at half-time these days, Liz. They just try out the rest of the combination.
There's another good reason to be retired there, right there, Jen. I thought it was warming up at half-time. It's enough to force you out of the game. Looks like there's going to be some changes for the Silver Ferns in the second half. No surprises, but I guess all the speculation at the moment is around a couple of key positions for the Ferns. That mid-court position, Laura Langman looks like she's going to come into centre. Shannon Francois at wing attack. Would suspect that Maria Tutoye would still be the starting goal attack, Jen, and really the question mark is around who's going to partner her. And we saw Bailey Mez get the opportunity to do that last night against Barbados, and Malia Pesaka will get to do it today.
That's right. It is all about the combinations and who is with whom, and I suppose that's no different for Trinidad and Tobago. 12 goals each quarter for the Calypso girls.
One of the changes that they made last night was bringing on a new goal shooter in Afisha Noel, and she was really impressive, really took to the body, bodied up against Laura Geitz and started to win a few key contests. So looking forward to see if she gets a run today and to see what she does against this impressive Silver Ferns defensive line. The other change is that Phoenix Karaka comes in at goalkeeper, Katrina Grant at goal defence. So again, you just get the sense that the Ferns are fiddling around with little mini combinations within the greater on-court 7 to see who is going to get the start in tomorrow against Australia.
Second half underway, 37-25, New Zealand over Trinidad and Tobago. But as you say, Liz, again, wholesale changes. New shooting circle, Tutayer and Paseka.
And worthwhile pointing out that Trinidad and Tobago have gone back to their original starting 7, so Guerrero finds a way back on court. John Davis in a wing attack from the centre, and Wallace remains in partnership with Cooper.
Well, it's good news, obviously, the injury to Guerrero couldn't have been particularly serious. Grant and Karaka now in the defensive circle. They'll be club mates next year in the Trans-Tasman competition.
Oh, beautiful hands there from Duncan. And Cooper looking bewildered, but she was well offside.
She's such a definite player, Jolisa Cooper, isn't she, in her movements?
Yeah, she doesn't waste a lot of energy. Oh, Guerrero.
Sorry, free pass.
Gee, she's right on the edge of that circle.
Around this side, around this side. Around this side. Obstruction, goalkeeper. Both out. Goal defence, you're out of play. Goal defence, step away.
Well, this goal taking an age, but it doesn't get there.
Goalkeeper.
A long time in the incubation.
Looking forward to seeing this combination between Tutayer and Paseka. Just get the sense that it might end up being the #1 Silver Ferns combination.
Guerrero waits for Cooper. Well, she's impressed today. The youngster, Samantha Wallace.
17 from 21 and 81%. Cooper 8 from 9 and 89%. Paseka.
Also a youngster, just 20 years of age.
Malia Paseka grew up in Sydney, born in Auckland, but spent 10 years in Sydney, so she'll have a lot of hometown support. Went to Westfield Sports High.
Long ball from Grant.
The radar off from Maria Tutayer early.
Contact goalkeeper.
As Karaka saw that, she's just a little late.
Gutsy take there from Guerrero. She knew that Karaka was coming and still got up with both hands and took the ball and took the hit. Good play.
Contact goal defence. Goal defence, you're out. Contact goal defence.
Laura Langman in at centre, as we mentioned. Test 121, all in a row.
Just there, beside the goal defence.
Big ask for Karaka, alone in the circle.
So I was about to say that Wallace and Cooper could have set up something a little bit better than that to try and get Wallace close to the post, but it didn't matter.
Why bother?
Yeah. Who needs set plays when you're shooting like that?
Come and step in. Come and step in. Come and step in. That's it.
when you think about that game coming up tomorrow, the big one of Pool A, Australia, New Zealanders, what do you do? Do you, if you're Tomonu, do you show your cards and put out your best team, or do you use it as a, I don't know, experiment?
I think it's a bit of both. I think she has to start with her best team and see how they run, but not be scared to make changes if things aren't working. Oh, Cullen, beautifully read. So I would expect to see what she considers as beautiful build-up from the Ferns. Didn't quite finish. I would expect to see Tomanu really run her top line. But I reckon she'll be prepared to pull the changes if things aren't working.
Oh, that one not falling for Wallace. In and out.
Varney's contact wing. Varney's obstruction centre.
That's more like it for Maria Tutaya.
And it is a fine line, Jen, because you don't want to show your cards, but you also don't want to capitulate to the Diamonds. You want to make sure that you show them that you are still a team to be reckoned with. I know Lisa Alexander thinks that the Silver Ferns are still her team's biggest threat. She won't hear talk of England and Jamaica in the final. She thinks the Ferns are it. So you can guarantee that the Diamonds will be out with their best 7 to start off with tomorrow.
But you talk about Jamaica and England, and of course that's another tantalising prospect today, isn't it? A little bit later on.
Yeah, looking forward to that game.
Don't miss it. Jamaica, England. Jamaica, big score over Samoa yesterday. England, pretty big score over Scotland.
I got ridiculed in some sections, Jen, for suggesting that I thought before this World Cup started that it would be an Australia-Jamaica final. But I'm pretty happy after seeing yesterday's result. Something that could happen. I know there's plenty of Kiwis watching this game at the moment that would like me to wash my mouth out with soap for saying such a thing.
Oh, I'm sure they can take it. Jamaica, though, often such an enigma. You never quite know what you're going to get.
That is so true. Interesting hearing good things. Jill McIntosh working with them. Her big thing is discipline. Back to this game, it's been a pretty good start to this third quarter from the Ferns. They lead at 8-4, make that 9-4.
Flat shot from Paseka.
She's funny in the way she sets up for the shot, Paseka. She doesn't quite turn her feet to face the post. It doesn't seem to matter. When you're coaching young shooters, you want them to get them to put their feet pointing towards the post just to help them with their aim. She's almost at right angles, but it makes no difference.
Contact goalkeeper. Varney's contact centre.
Tutaya happier with that one.
Hold time. Wing attack.
Time called, I think, by Trinidad and Tobago.
A shaky early start from Maria Tutaya, currently sitting at 6 from 9, but her first 2 shots missed the mark. Seko's had a pretty good introduction to this game, sitting at 4 from 4. So for her to be considered, you would assume, as the first goal shooter for New Zealand, she'll need to get up around the mark that Bailey Mez set in the first half, 21 from 25 from her. And Jen, I'm assuming that Maria Tutaya would be the first choice goal attack, but I don't know that you agree with me.
I'm not sure. That's my problem, is I really don't know, because I feel that certainly the form of Jodie Brown through the ANZ Championship, I mean, I know the Central Pulse and club side lived through that championship, but she was one player who stood up. Let's hear what they're saying. Well, certainly plenty of chat in that Silver Fern huddle, but here's the problem. Here's why players stop. Rhonda, John Davis on the deck. the real veteran of this Trinidad and Tobago side. She will need to get up and into this game if she can.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
But then sometimes you see that with players and then boom, they're off like rockets. Watch this space.
She had a smile on her face.
Halfway marks, third quarter, 47-29. New Zealand lead. I think the radar is on now.
Just interesting listening to that huddle, and I think it was Maria Tutayer who talked about setting up the attacking triangles, and that's a real feature of Silver Fern's play. Just using the triangle between the shooters and the feeders, just to change angles and get the ball in, so expect to see a little bit of that.
Contact on the arm, was it, or perhaps shortening?
No, it was in the getting the rebound position. The umpire indicated that she backed into Pasaka. Doing the right thing, Connolly trying to get the good rebound position, but just went a little too hard on the body in attempting to do so. And really good defensive pressure there from the Silver Ferns, just across that transverse line, forced a long speculator, and Karaka was able to come up with it and should be finished down at this end.
Beautiful player to watch, Malia Paseka. She's quite dramatic, athletic.
Oh, that's a great example of that. What a leap, just from nothing. She's almost cat-like in the way she moves. You know, she's just got that power. Just beautiful to watch.
20-goal buffer for New Zealand, 51-31. We were talking earlier too, well, about the play styles of Tutayer versus Brown. Of course, the thing is, as mentioned earlier, Tutayer getting used to a different style of play, whereas Brown, it is her style of play that the Silver Ferns are now adopting.
Jodie Brown really plays to bring other players into the game, whereas Maria Tutayer really plays to dominate that goal attack position and is prepared to do the bulk of the shooting. And it's a little bit like how the Diamond's set up, and I think it's good for teams to be able to have two very definite styles of play in that goal attack position. It's such a crucial position on court. But Maria Tutayer has been very honest about the fact that she's learning a new style of play and learning to fit in with some new goal shooters.
That is contact, goal attack. That is contact, we attack.
And the zone defence through the middle from the Silver Ferns, close to impenetrable at the moment, and it's forcing Trinidad long and into making errors.
Trinidad and Tobago already on the score that they scored against Australia for the whole game. So they're certainly going to improve on that outcome.
They are, and I talked about the pressure of the Silver Ferns zone defence that gave them back possession. Well, Trinidad won back possession just through nice transition one-on-one play. And here's that move along the baseline. Cooper should finish it, and she does.
Big thumbs up from the captain.
Oh, Wallace and Cooper got in each other's way. It was a good pass from Guerrero, but too many people to catch it.
Bondage obstruction, wing.
Oh, both players down. Last man standing. Malia Paseka scores.
Smart play from Paseka then. She just saw that Maria Tutaye had the front cut and she just stood out of her way and back. And that's the sort of play that New Zealand are aiming for, where the shooters balance up the circle. So there's always two options, a short one and a long one.
Yeah, great defence, New Zealand. As you mentioned earlier, Liz, the zone.
And what that zone does force you into doing, which is when you see Silver Fern's eyes light up, is either going long for a speculator or go across court. And the moment anything's across court, that's when they eat it up. And Shannon Francois did a good job there of running that ball down.
Cullen, just a moment ago, she was on the other side of the court, miles away. All over Rhonda John Davis. Oh, and that was a throw-in, so that's through a third. Ball must be touched in each part of the court.
Advantage obstruction, don't offside wing. New Zealand. That's delaying the centre pass. Free pass, centre third right there.
Another break, was it?
No, I think it was delay. Umpire didn't like the fact that Guerrero just dropped the ball and didn't give it back to the centre pass. So Trinidad and Tobago need to be a little bit careful here and just not drop their bundle. They've been so good and competitive through parts of this match, especially in the opening quarter. I know they're getting physically tired. They've had two pretty tough games in 2 days, but they really do want to make sure that they stay disciplined and stay in this match. No doubt they will have goals that they want to achieve. And they've just dropped down their scoring rate in this quarter, 12 in the first, 13 in the second, just 8 so far, with a couple of seconds to go. And they want to maintain their discipline and structure.
That is contact, goal defence. Contact.
Smart play from Langman, stretching over the shot.
Wallace just unable to keep in court. So good pressure in the dying stages of this third quarter from New Zealand. As the ball is retrieved, but time runs out. It is three-quarter time, and New Zealand build on that lead. They lead Trinidad and Tobago by 56 goals to 33. So high fives for the New Zealanders as they leave the court. Trinidad and Tobago, they will want to probably do a little bit better in the next quarter than they did in that one. That was their lowest scoring quarter. 56-33. As Coach Gomez has a few words to say. Certainly, though, New Zealand by no means at top power. Hard to know, really.
Yeah, it's difficult to figure out where they're going to go to with their top line, but these two matches against Barbados and Trinidad, opportunity for them to test different combinations, and this is when, as a player, you want to make sure you're putting out everything. So these Silver Ferns players want to show Waitamatu exactly what they're capable of doing. And Samantha Wallace has just been really good for Trinidad and Tobago under the post. She's delivered, she's done her job, sitting at 24 from 30, and really Wallace and Cooper are doing a pretty good job. The ball, though, is just breaking down through that mid-court, and it is the defensive pressure of the Silver Ferns. Their zone proving really difficult to get through for the Trinidadians, and that's why they're being starved at the ball in that shooting end. Defensively, they've not been too bad, Trinidad. starting to get a little bit untidy towards the end of that quarter. 46 penalties that they've given away, whereas you look at the Ferns, just 28 penalties. And that's something that happens when you play two different styles of defensive play. Silver Ferns tend not to give away penalties simply because they play that space marking, so they don't get caught up on the body. Trinidad have got caught up a little bit, especially in that third quarter, and just started to find a little bit of whistle.
Final words there from the coaches, Vicky Wilson, Wai Tomonu. 56-33, New Zealand lead Trinidad and Tobago. And this is their last 15 minutes played before they meet Australia tomorrow.
Talk about it being a big game tomorrow for Australia and New Zealand, but also a big game for Trinidad. They'll take on Barbados, and they will come into this pool play knowing that that's the game they've targeted. That's the game they want to win. Yes, they want to perform well against the top two nations in the world, but they want to win a fair bit of pride, and they want to make sure that they keep on top of Barbados. Yeah, good win from Duncan.
Contact centre.
Change in position there. Connolly now out at goal defence. Duncan switched to go back to goalkeeper.
And Noel's on at goal shooter. For Trinidad, McCollum on at goal attack.
That is contact centre.
Trisha Liverpool in at centre. This is the first time we've seen her in this tournament. Didn't play yesterday against Australia.
That is contact.
Very animated Kimber Duncan. Great to see.
Contact. Wing defence.
No changes for the Silver Ferns. So they're being asked to run it out. Pretty good first up showing in the third quarter for this combination.
Oh, Cullen. Hurt herself. And she has, in fact, called for a stoppage. Perhaps she's cut herself, got a bit of blood.
Let's take the ball.
Jen, you mentioned before that as we take a look at this replay, we'll see. Yeah, she pulled her hands away pretty quickly, didn't she?
Yeah, she went to save herself. I don't know what's on that top of that rail.
Jenny asked me before about the score of New Zealand, or the score of Trinidad actually. Already they've surpassed their score that they had yesterday against Australia. And it's tempting, isn't it, just to start to compare, you know, oh, Trinidad scored, what, 32 against Australia, have scored 33 so far.
What does it all mean?
What does it mean? I'm going to tell you what I reckon. It means nothing.
I like that answer.
Well, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a bit of a flip side now. In years gone by, the Silver Ferns always had tall shooters that they could just turn and just piff the ball to and score quite freely. That's a reasonable cut that Cullen's got on her hand. It's a bit of a concern. No doubt they should get stuck together with the magic strapping tape.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of it available.
Yeah, so now Australia's in a position where they've got a couple of tall shooters that they can just turn and send the ball to quickly. I just don't think you can read in too much into it. You know, Trinidad and Tobago were a bit blown away by the speed and intensity yesterday against Australia. They've come out today. They know what they're going to expect against the Silver Ferns. They're losing at the moment a war of attrition. Comparing scores doesn't help. What will be the instructive thing is about how these two teams play against each other tomorrow.
Back in business. New Zealand 57-33 over Trinidad and Tobago. Early in the fourth quarter.
That's it, where you are, goalkeeper, step out. New Zealand.
Quick hands to Tayer. At times, in flashes of play, New Zealand looks sharp.
They do, and that sharpness comes when Laura Langman is in the middle. A great defensive effort.
And New Zealand is in the crowd baying for held ball.
Barney's not out of play. Barney's obstruction, wing defence.
Noel on the board.
New Zealand. Keep our contact. You must stay out of play until she's released the ball.
Paseka always looks calm, almost glides around the court.
Yeah, doesn't look bothered by the situation, does she? When figuring out the top line, I reckon you have to have Kayla Cullen in at wing defence.
That's certainly the combination I like. Langman at centre, Cullen at wing defence. I'm undecided for, oh, Rasmussen at wing attack. After that, it's a bit murky.
Well, we've talked plenty about that shooting line for New Zealand, but there's also the defensive end. And, you know, in years gone by, Casey Korpura is just the automatic selection, but she doesn't seem, to me, to be moving as freely as she was, and she hasn't quite read the play. A couple of long, high balls went into the Trinidad shooting end earlier today, and she didn't get out of the circle and get to them. You could see that she identified that they were there, but just didn't have a crack. And I don't know if she felt that her timing wasn't right or whether she simply lost confidence to go out. And she looks a little bit proppy on the land. So, do New Zealand not start with their captain? And who do they put back at goalkeeper? They're the big questions.
De Bruyne and Karaka certainly looked good in their second half against Barbados.
Yeah, they did. And
yesterday.
Karaka is a ball winner. She proved that in that second half against Barbados.
I'm interested too why Tomonu choosing to run combinations in halves. She's not mixing up anything up in the quarters. And it's interesting some of the combinations we've seen or who we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen Tutaya and Brown.
Nope.
And obviously that would mean one of them going to goal shoot, which not normal, but we both know that they can play there.
We can, but they're both players who really revel in the space of that goal attack position.
All will be revealed tomorrow.
Will be. And I suspect that that won't be the last word. Stepping call against Donnelly.
Contact, wing. New Zealand, sideline. Side.
Cool and calm, Paseka. 15 from 19. Oh, and that was a mishandling from Kiel Connolly. I wonder if the ball just slipped out of her hand.
Well, I think fatigue really setting in for this Trinidad team. They've been made to work incredibly hard, especially through that mid-court by the Silver Ferns. Just see errors starting to creep into their play. Grant read that beautifully. Just a magnificent take.
Well, the ball thought about it. In the end, went down. Certainly the brakes have been applied to Trinidad and Tobago's scoring. Just 3 so far in this quarter.
You have to come off. It's your second one. Off. You have to come off. Second injury.
And it looks like the
Off. You have to come
umpire is
off.
summoning, or Kiel Connolly going to the side.
You've been sick? Yeah?
A bit of confusion perhaps between the umpire and the player.
They're just trying to figure out how many timeouts have been had in this quarter. And if Kiel Connolly is calling a timeout, I think she has to be replaced if there has been a timeout already this quarter. Nope, there mustn't have been.
So while they work it out, both teams will regroup. Rachel Eyre, I'm sure she knows what's going on. 64-36, so this quarter 8-3 in favour of New Zealand. With almost 9 minutes of it remaining. That would appear to be the problem area. You can really feel, can't you, the atmosphere starting to build at Sydney Olympic Park. The tour parties are in, a lot of them still to come as the tournament reaches the business end. Music speeding up, the singing, you can see the Kiwis in the background. And obviously they're here for the netball, but they're here for a good time.
They most certainly are. It's a beautiful day outside in Sydney, and there's plenty going on inside, but there's also plenty outside. There's Fan Fest, the Bledisloe Cup tonight. Good of the rugby boys to play an entree match, isn't it, for the big game tomorrow?
Nice. That was probably organised by the netballers for them.
So, plenty of Australia-New Zealand rivalry going on, but at the moment we've got an Oceania-Caribbean rivalry happening on court. Second best team in Oceania taking on the second best team in the Caribbean.
Off Karaka, beautifully balanced.
Oh, great work, Grant. Chase that down. And that's what you want your team doing in the last half of the last quarter.
Pity it couldn't be finished. Now, half of that play was executed out of court.
It was a nice rebound from Duncan. Just had to battle hard today, giving away plenty of centimetres in that goalkeeper position for Trinidad and Tobago.
Karaka through with the tip. It's tight marking New Zealand, and it's rewarded. Okay, perhaps that's my defensive combination. Grant and Karaka.
You can't just change on the back of one intersect.
I'm not the coach.
That is true. Thankfully, none of us are. There's people far better qualified. Just thinking about who Trinidad might start with tomorrow, going into their clash with Barbados.
Contact centre.
And I was really impressed yesterday by Fisher Noel in that goal shooter, but she's been pretty quiet this quarter. And Sam Wallace has had a really good first three quarters. She would have to be the go-to goal shooter, along with Joe Cooper at goal attack. John Davis sitting at wing attack. It's hard to go past her. So you sort of get the sense that the team that they started with first would be the team they start with first in their matchup with Barbados. So not surprised that there's changes. Coach just trying to, I guess, preserve his charges, make sure that they're pretty fresh for that big game.
A nice little dab from Langman, and she's forced the error.
Inside the circle.
Nice tidy by Francois. That was a pretty good challenge from Duncan, but Tutayer was up to it.
Hold time. We'll have the ball straight back. Thank you.
There's a warning about delay.
Yeah, I don't reckon that was delay.
Oh, the spin. Gosh, when it works, it looks glorious.
She almost, for the moment, she gets the ball, Maria Tutayer, when she's like in this sort of mood, you know she's not going to miss. You can tell that body language, half smile on her face.
Well, she's come good, hasn't she? Because she started a bit shakily, but 13 from 17 now. That's in what, 1 3/4 quarters. 30 goals in it, 66-36.
Advantage obstruction, goal attack.
contact, sorry, advantage offside, contact wing defence. Where you are. Contact, goalkeeper.
New Zealand add one more. It is a long time since Trinidad and Tobago have scored 3 goals in this quarter. Not enough on that. Kemba Duncan gets reward.
Yeah, their scoring opportunities have dried up, but their defensive line is still winning ball back for Trinidad and Tobago, and they just are losing it through this mid-court. You see there's just not enough structure there, and you do need to play quite a structured game to get through the zone. You've got to have a designated runner and a designated receiver.
And that's what happens if you don't get through the zone.
Yeah,
hell ball.
Really for Trinidad, then everyone ran at the same time, almost to the same spot.
Now Trinidad and Tobago are going to pieces a little bit.
Centre third.
A lot of mistakes being made.
Keeper, contact.
This is where the Ferns have to be a little bit careful and use the ball quite wisely. They've got to protect each other. They've got an opposition who is flagging, so their contests for the ball are a little bit late and a little bit clumsy. So you have to make sure you move the ball. You've got to give yourself plenty of space off the ball and off the player. Protect yourself and protect your teammates. That really has to be the goal for the last 3 and a bit minutes of this quarter for the Ferns. You can't go into your shell. You can't play keepings off, but you have to be smart.
Still no luck for Trinidad and Tobago in these last few minutes.
Great defensive effort from the Ferns, just turning the screws. Trinidad and Tobago have scored just 3 goals in this quarter so far. Just been ruthless. It's what you need to be.
Advantage obstruction, goal attack.
I thought that was going to be all right. I thought she'd stepped in.
Yeah, it looked good, didn't it? Smart work from Kariko. She stood her ground.
So there it is. Goal number 4 for this quarter for Trinidad and Tobago. And I think Kayla Cullen just going across to the bench, perhaps that sticking plaster that she applied on her hand a little bit earlier might be causing her a bit of aggravation. Just over 2 minutes left in this match, 69-37. So in the end, it is really pretty convincing for the Silver Ferns. But it almost feels as though they've bumped along their way to get there.
Yeah, it's been a good defensive effort this quarter, but the goals haven't quite sunk for them. Just 13 goals so far. And they've got a couple of minutes to make sure it's not their lowest scoring quarter of the match. But defensively, they've been very good. So far, they've just allowed 12 goals in the second half compared to 25 goals in the first half. So perhaps this is a defensive pairing for New Zealand. In the circle, Katrina Grant.
The very distinctive voice of Laura Langman saying, great work guys, keep it up. Somebody from Porirua is here. I suspect she's not alone. Good to see.
I think if you're a Kiwi, you've got plenty of friends in the crowd.
69-37, just over 2 minutes remaining in this Pool A match.
Contact. Contact keeper, outside.
And we're talking about, aren't we, a lot, you know, these different combinations and how you go about choosing them. Is it solely about what we see out here in these games, or how much weight is given to training? What's going on there?
I think by the time you get to this point, you're looking to see who's performing, and when you have games where there's 30 points in the margin, it is almost like a training run. So you want to see who can continually do the job, maybe when there's not a lot of pressure on, who commits to doing the little things well and who doesn't take those shortcuts. So that will be part of the decision-making process. But I suspect also for the Ferns, their coaching department will have a good look at the Australians at the Diamonds yesterday and today, and to a degree will pick horses for courses, try and match players up, see who matches up the best.
So who would be your Australian starting shooters?
I think there's little doubt about that. I think it's Caitlin Bassett and Nat Medhurst. But from what I saw yesterday, if you had to put either Erin Bell or Caitlin Thwaites in that mix, you would miss very, very little. Erin Bell just so superb, prepared to go through the top of the circle, and is vastly different to Nat Medhurst. Nat's a real playmaker, whereas Erin demands the ball and wants to shoot. And if you've got in a situation where you need your goal attack to stand up and do that, you can take that on. But I'd start with Bassett and Medhurst. I'd put Kim Green in at wing attack, Kim Ravalian at centre, and look, I think defensively you just go with the firm that's done a pretty good job for Australia in recent matches, so Hallen and Corletto and Geitz. But the good thing, if you're an Australian fan, is that there is so much competition within that squad for positions that changes. I don't think we'll see the same 7 play the full game for either team tomorrow.
So lots to look forward to as the Silver Ferns close in on a good win here over Trinidad and Tobago.
Hold time. Deliberate obstruction.
Can they add one more?
Obstruction.
And I think there's a penalty, so yes, there is. Make that 74-38. So Trinidad and Tobago, gee, they fought hard at times. I think they got worn down towards the end of the match. But in the end, New Zealand simply too strong, 73-38.